Everyone, today we'll discuss about gas exchange system in different organisms. So before going into the topic, we'll first see what adaptations gas exchange surfaces have in common that are present in different organisms. So we see that mostly gas exchange surfaces, they have large surface area. So this large surface area, it tends to provide more space for the diffusion to take place. Mostly gas exchange surfaces, they are thin. They are just made up of one layer of epithelial cells. So this one layer of epithelial cells, it provides short diffusion pathway. So gases, they don't have to travel a long way, or in other words we can say that diffusion can take place in less time. So all the organisms, they maintain a steep concentration gradient across their gas exchange surfaces. So gases, they move from the area of higher concentration to the area of lower concentration. First of all, we will discuss gas exchange in single-celled organisms. So as the name indicates, these organisms, they are made up of just one cell. So they absorb and they release gases by the process of diffusion through their outer surface. They have relatively large surface area, a very thin surface. So this thin surface, it provides short diffusion pathway, and oxygen, it takes part in the chemical reactions as soon as it enters into the cells. So these organisms where their outer surface is in direct contact with the environment, where there is plenty of oxygen, so these organisms, they don't need any proper gas exchange system. So now we'll discuss gas exchange in fish. Fish use counter current system for the gas exchange. As there is lower concentration of oxygen in water than in air, so fish have special adaptations to get maximum out of it. If we see the diagram of gills, so water, it enters into the fish through its mouth and passes out through the gills. So each gill, it has lots of thin plates called gill filaments. So these are the gill filaments. These gill filaments, they increase the surface area for the exchange of gases. And each gill filament is covered in with so many small tiny structures that are known as lamellae and single lamella. The lamellae, they have lots of blood capillaries and very thin surface layer of cells to speed up the process of diffusion. To understand the countercurrent system of gas exchange, we see one diagram of the lamella. So as you can see, so blood is flowing in the lamella in one direction, and these blue lines, they are showing the flow of water. And water, it flows over the lamella in the opposite direction. So they are opposite. So that's why this system is known as countercurrent. This system maintains a large concentration gradient between the water and the blood. The concentration of oxygen in the water is always higher than that in the blood. So concentration of oxygen in the blood is low. So this makes sure that maximum oxygen is absorbed from the water into the blood. Now we'll see gas exchange in insects. Insects have microscopic air-filled small tubes. These tubes, they are named as trachea. And these trachea are used for the gas exchange. Air moves into the trachea through the small pores on the surface, and these pores, they are known as spiracles. The trachea, it branch off and it make even smaller tubes. These are known as tracheoles. These tracheoles are very thin and they have permeable walls, and these go to the individual group of cells. and as these are covering here. The oxygen, it moves down its concentration gradient from the spiracles to the tracheal or even further to the respiring cells. So it means that oxygen is directly, it is diffused into the cells. So these are the respiring cells, and the byproduct of respiration is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide, it is also moving down its concentration gradient from the respiring cells to the towards the spiracles so that it can be released outside the body of insect. So these insects, they use rhythmic abdominal movements to move air in and out of the spiracles. Now we'll see gas exchange in plants. Plants, they need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, which produces oxygen as a waste gas. They need oxygen for respiration as well, which produces carbon dioxide as a waste gas. So the main gas exchange surface is the surface of mesophyll cells in the leaf. So this is the internal structure of the leaf. So these mesophyll cells, they have large surface area and they have well adaptations for to perform their function here. The mesophyll cells, they are present as this is the internal structure, so they are present inside the leaf. So gases that are produced here, they move into and out of the structure of leaf through the pores that are present on the lower side of the epidermis or the lower epidermis. These stomata, they can be closed and they can be opened depending on the needs. Usually they remain open during the day to perform the photosynthesis so that carbon dioxide is provided for the process of photosynthesis. But if plants, they tend to lose so much of water, then they can be closed. And these guard cells, they actually control the opening and closing of the stomata. Exchange of gases, it tends to lose water. So there's kind of trade-off between the two. So the plants and insects, they have developed some adaptations to avoid loss of water. So insects, they if they are losing too much water, so they can close their spiracles by using their muscles. They also have vaxillaire on all over their body, and they also have small hairs surrounding the spiracles. Both of these structures, they help to avoid water loss. And plants, they have stomata, and they remain open during the day to perform the process of photosynthesis. So water, it enters into the guard cells. So these are the guard cells. So water from the surrounding cells, it enters into the guard cells and these become turgid. So when these guard cells, these become turgid, so the pore is opened. If plant gets too dehydrated or if plant loses water in dry conditions or very windy conditions, then what happens, these guard cells, they lose water, and when they lose water, so they become flaccid. So the pore is closed now. So in this way they control the loss of water. So some plants are specially adapted for life in warm, dry or windy habitats where water loss is a problem. So these plants, these are known as xerophytes. So let's see what adaptations xerophytic plants have. So the stomata, they are sunken. So they sunk in the pits. And as this is the lower epidermis, stomata are present here. So they trap the moist air, reducing the concentration gradient of water between the leaf and the air. So this reduces the amount of water diffusing out of the leaf and evaporating away. So actually it reduces the rate of evaporation. So as you can see, a layer of hairs on the epidermis, on the lower epidermis, that is present, this again it traps the moist air around the stomata. And the curled leaves, these help to protect them from the wind. So as the stomata, in this case, they are inside, they are actually hiding. And these kind of plants, they have reduced number of stomata, so there are fewer places for the water to escape. So, and the waxy waterproof cuticle on the leaves and the stems, it is there to reduce evaporation as well.